Hello there. Good evening, and welcome to Beer Blather 148, the night of St. Thomas and St. Saul. And we're going to have a very saintly conversation tonight, aren't we, St. Thomas of Wictor?
Yes, we are. And before anyone takes offense at what we're doing, I have been publicly called St. Thomas of Wictor.
Oh, we'll get there in a second. We'll get there in a second. We'll even show it if you want. But anyway,
Yeah, don't show it.
we are starting this with and obviously in YouTube as well, to remind our 8,500 subscribers over there that, hey baby, we are not in YouBoob anymore. Get it? And there is a link underneath to this show in Odysee. So when we disconnect from YouTube in about 10 minutes or so, if you want to continue watching, all you have to do is click on that link and it'll take you straight to our YouTube to our Odysee broadcast. Going back to this, if I offend anybody with what we say tonight, I would like to take this opportunity to recommend that you study hard, learn about sense of humor, and a lot of other niceties, so the chances of my offending you next year will decrease considerably. How about that for a non-apology?
Well, I would imagine that somebody would be offended by a YouTube video that shows nothing but drying cement for 3 days. There would be complaints. It would be taken down. So, someone's always going to be offended. I mean, if you're not offending people, then you're not doing a good job. So
No. Whenever I go to sleep at night, I ask myself, have you offended anybody today? And if the answer is no, I get out of bed, go back to a computer, start calling people, because until I offend somebody, my day is not complete. It means I haven't tried enough. I knew you'd like that one. Anyway, the reason that we are in such a saintly mood today is because somebody made my good friend from California here a saint. Not only a saint, but a saint of some mythical locality named after a nail maker.
yeah, I was surprised to see A, that I was a saint, and B, that I was a saint of Wictor. Wictor is what do you call it?
It's a trade, a nail maker.
It's a nail maker, and that is a profession. Woo! Wictor is a profession, and I'm lucky because in its previous incarnation, before it got changed by the dialect of Luxembourgish, our name was Kaifish, which also meant nail maker. So I would have been Thomas Kaifish. And believe me, I've had trouble with just Wictor. So
the jokes just write themselves, my fishy friend.
Exactly. So
yes,
I don't know. I thought a lot about. I mean, not seriously changing my name, but it's just a name, and I've been able to find a handful of people in the world with the same name. Usually people think that Wictor is my first name, and it's Victor. So I get a lot of people, in hospitals and things like that, calling me Victor, and it's like, okay, my name's Tom, but you call me.
You're not just a saint; you're a triumphant saint. I should have chosen for you other than Damien. By the way, the meme that we put in today was originally a painting in the Renaissance depicting Saint Cosby and Saint Damien, the patron saints of
Pharmacology.
pharmacology. If we're going to be saints, I'd rather be a patron saint of pharmacology than, say, urinary tract infections.
Yep. It's the patron saint. Are there patron saints of cancer, for example?
Oh yeah, there is my great grand aunt, Saint Mariana of Quito. You see, the Ecuadorians didn't have a saint, so they picked this one. She's a patron saint of throat ailments, and she died of throat cancer. So I imagine she didn't work her magic with herself that much. It was explained to me that because she knew the suffering, she would be a more efficient patron saint for those cases. Yeah, there is a patron saint for just about anything you can imagine, and a host of things neither you nor I can even imagine.
How many sects of Christianity have saints?
A shitload.
Yeah.
A shitload. I mean, Catholics, obviously, they have saints. They have saints to the point that it looks like an Egyptian temple in there or an Aztec temple. And women who want to get married will pray to Sant Antonio, but men who want to get a job will do likewise, and that makes me think that maybe marriage is a chore. There are saints to pray for rain, for rain to stop, for abundant, say, harvests, for getting laid. You name it, they have it. The Orthodox also have saints, although their relationship to saints is slightly different. Obviously, the Calvinists and Lutherans that made up the larger part of those who came from England to America in the original colonies, or rather in the Northeast, in New England, not only don't have saints, but look very disfavorably to the notion of saints. So we have the very opposites within Christianity.
Yeah, I like Saint Jude, the patron saint of lost causes. That's
Yeah,
my favorite.
isn't that interesting that some son of a bitch actually took the patron saint of lost causes
Yeah.
to name a hospital to cure children's cancers?
Yeah,
I mean, can't you be just a little bit more optimistic about this?
I'm assuming, like a lot of saints, Jude is a patron saint of this, that, and the other. So maybe Jude is also the patron saint of other things.
So,
And that's what the,
by the way, we have a friend from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, Faisal. Good to see you.
oh, hi, Faisal.
Yes, yeah, he hasn't been around for a while. Um, God, you guys.
Whoop, you're buffering. You're buffering. You're frozen. You're frozen in time. You're frozen in amber. Saint Saul is an ex-saint. He's joined the choir invisible. He is no longer a saint. He is bereft. All sorts of other things. So I will remove my halo. So it was getting annoying. There, he's sort of back.
Yeah, my internet decided to have a hiccup. I finally figured out what the problem was.
What's the problem?
The problem is I was for 2.5 months in Virginia.
Ah, okay.
And I forgot to pay for the internet in Florida.
Uh-oh.
So they had reduced it to a damn trickle. So earlier today, I cured the problem, and supposedly we're doing fine now. We'll see.
Yeah.
It just connected by itself. Apparently, it started working again.
Okay. Yeah, I've been using wireless. I used copper wires in the old place, and
Yeah.
the phone company stopped maintaining them because they were trying to force everybody to switch over to whatever the hell, and that annoyed me. So I stuck with copper wires as long as I could, and connection was a real problem. And so here in this house, we use wireless, and whew, it's much faster and much more reliable. So I'm shocked.
Yep.
My introduction to the 21st century at the age of 60.
Well, I'm ahead of you on this one, and I still don't want to be formally introduced to the bitch, because the 21st century is not something I'm liking lately.
Well, the first 2 years were not very. Is it
Screwing up
2020?
again.
The 21st? No. Yes. No. No.
Yeah.
21st began
Yes.
with 2020.
21st began with
21. Oh, he's taking a break again. Let's look at the 21st.
what's wrong with my internet? Hey, assholes, I paid for the internet, okay?
Well, you know how it is. You're not a saint.
Neither are you, but apparently, you took off your halo, and suddenly
Yes.
we're having internet problems.
Well, I've resigned. I've resigned. I didn't want to be Saint Thomas anymore.
No,
Um,
let me show people, since you asked me at the very beginning, where this crap comes from. There you go. In Twitter, the land of the brainless, the hysterical bitches, and the ignorant, there you have an interview with somebody who happens to be a confidant of St. Thomas of Wictor. Come on. You can confide in me.
I
Do
don't
you
have any,
have a confidant?
no. I don't have any confidants.
I knew it. I knew
Maybe-
it. You mean there is no Sancho Panza to your Quixote?
No, I'm more Sancho Panza myself. I don't have a Quixote, so I don't know. It's funny. Everything's funny. I don't know. I somebody submitted my name to Twitter to be unbanned, and
Ooh.
I don't think anything has been done yet. Let me see.
Oh, a lot of people are sending tweets to Musk and all the jazz to take you back, take me back. There is even a hashtag Free Soul, which I think was started by one of our own
No, I'm still banned.
trolls.
I'll probably
But
still-
yeah, no, we're still banned. There is a chance that over the course of the next month, after they've reinstated every asshole imaginable, from Emerald Lump of Coal to Laura Looney to Alex Jones, all of those assholes have been reinstated. After there are no longer any assholes to be reinstated, they might get to you or me or not. Either way, I don't care.
No, I mean, I got banned for a ridiculous reason. The banning continues for a ridiculous reason. Just to refresh people's memory, I got banned for allegedly making death threats to Alyssa Milano, which I did no such thing, as proven by the FBI, because when they came to my house to see if I was serious, they didn't bring the Alyssa Milano tweet. They brought other stuff, other tweets. There was a tweet of me holding my Colt, or sorry, my whatever the hell it is. It's a 357 Magnum revolver. And I said, I take psychotropics not for me, but for others. And they were just asking me what I meant by all of this, and I said nothing. I meant it because at the time I was, I showed them the death threats I got and all that sort of stuff, and they said, "Oh, that's smart. Pretend you're armed and crazy." So they closed the case right there and then, and that was it. So according to the FBI, I never made any death threats against anybody. Um, they didn't ask to see my weapons. They didn't. It was a red flag, um, whatever the hell it is, check. But
Oh, I had that for a year.
oh
Uh,
really?
yeah, from November 2018 until November 2019, because they have to keep it open for a year. After the second meeting, they apologized to me. I ended up having dinner with the chief of police, the magistrate, and the Commonwealth attorney, and because it was, well, how can I say this? Oh yes, bullshit. And I found something for you here. But I still had to be, at least nominally, under investigation for a whole year.
Yeah, with me, Milano made her complaint to the FBI, and they were here almost immediately. Um, and then they closed the case, and I don't know. It obviously they saw the tweet, and they saw that the tweet wasn't a death threat, so they tried to get me on other stuff. And they
Yeah.
sent a very attractive blonde female, and she pretended to be a bitch to see if that would rile me up. And I know about good cop, bad cop. I have cops in my family, and so I just kept my cool, and she dropped the act, and that was the end of that. I gave them investment advice, so
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Look at this, because while you were talking about your calls to violence in Twitter, uh, at about the same time, I was writing an article on Benjamin Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the article, and you're gonna love the this particular thing because it's I finish Benjamin Franklin's quote. Um, but if the public should ever happen to be affronted, as it ought to be, with the conduct of such writers, I would not advise proceeding immediately to these extremities, but that we should in moderation content ourselves with tearing and feathering and tossing them in a blanket. Besides the incontrovertible fact that Twitter would have banned Benjamin Franklin as it did Thomas Wictor for what they would denounce as a call to violence, giving indisputable proof of their inability to understand the written language, the idea sounds good even today.
No, I mean,
We always knew what it was, didn't we?
yeah, and Musk fired, I don't know, close to 90% of the Twitter staff, and nothing's changed. Um, he's still firing them, and it was clear that they it was a cult, and they were it wasn't about violating any Twitter rules. It was about wrongthink. It was about
Yes.
being in opposition to the prevailing leftist narrative, and that gets you kicked out. And
Yep. I
uh,
was permanently banned 3 times because they unbanned me again before anybody even notices. So this is number 2,
hmm,
which has been continuous until today. Okay, now let me see if I can put the screen. I also published an article at the time and showed this. Hold on. There you go. And there you can see the notice I got from Twitter, violating our rules against hateful conduct.
What?
The hateful conduct. By the way, this is changed from hateful conduct to call to violence to harassing to promoting harassment. You know, it's
Wait a minute.
amazing.
You didn't violate any of their terms of service.
No, read the thing. By the way, this is in answer to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calling. There was a controversy at the time about some illegal aliens that had committed some heinous crimes in Los Angeles. And she was talking about, the poor, the down, give me your poor, your downtrodden. And we need to stop talking bad about these refugees. And as the fucking Democrats closed the door on Jewish refugees, dimwit, and sent them back to die in concentration camps. Those were refugees, not like the criminals you defend.
Yeah.
Can you please tell me, where's the hateful conduct in there?
Well, you didn't threaten violence, and you didn't scroll down a little, or scroll up a little, or scroll. Yeah, scroll up. I need to see. Yeah, there. You did not promote violence. You didn't threaten or harass anyone on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease.
Or any other reason. I just called the hypocrisy of these people.
Well, and you stated history.
Yes.
You stated history.
Absolutely, and I went on, to detail that history. By the way, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her original tweet was, asking to be considered as a refugee and applying for status isn't a crime. No, it isn't. It wasn't for Jewish families fleeing Germany.
Yes, it was.
Actually, applying wasn't a crime, but the Democratic government of the time decided to not give them visas. As a matter of fact, they closed visas for Jews. It wasn't for targeted families fleeing Rwanda. How many of those made it to the U.S.?
I don't know, 3, 4.
What did the Clinton administration do to stop the genocide in Rwanda? Nothing. That's why you're silent. It wasn't for communities fleeing war-torn Syria.
Yeah, we let the Syrians in.
Yeah, no, not at that time, by the way, because she's saying this shit long before we accepted any Syrian refugee. And it isn't for those fleeing violence in Central America. Who says they're fleeing violence?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And my answer was to that, and it highlighted the hypocrisy of this woman.
Yeah.
Apparently, highlighting the hypocrisy of a hypocrite is harassment.
Well, also, I mean, I'm sure she didn't know. I'm sure she has no factual knowledge about the history of Jewish refugees trying to flee the Nazis.
Yes. And speaking of one of your favorite tweeters, as a sample, I put a tweet by Alyssa Milano to the President of the United States, no less. Look at this love-filled statement.
You tear gas women and children. She didn't. Or he didn't.
No, he didn't, but it doesn't matter. Asswipe. And on Thanksgiving weekend, you piece of shit, asshole, motherfucking evil creature person. Wow. I'll tell you, mine sounds like the Queen of England greeting a princess next to this.
Well, she's obviously got Tourette syndrome or something, whatever the written version of Tourette syndrome is.
Yes. How about these, asshole?
Yeah, anti-termite. Wasn't he supposed to die? I thought he had prostate cancer.
I don't know, but you know how it is.
Oh, by the way, we need to get off Twitter. Or sorry,
And,
we need to off YouTube.
oh, yes. Let's do that immediately. Oh, bye-bye, YouBoob. By the way, I can use this picture for this very moment.
There we
If you're
go.
watching us in YouBoob, follow the link to Odysee. Or not. It's a free country.